Well, we debuted a new QD author this week.
We always like doing that.
Yeah, it's always fun when we find a new one. This is Megan Ray Nichols. Megan specializes in tech and science and STEM-related topics primarily. And her story this week, how are manufacturing addressing the skills gap, focused on a subject that we actually have been giving quite a bit of coverage to recently, getting trained workers into the manufacturing workforce. And by most reports, says Nichols, many manufacturers lack enough well-trained employees with the strengths in the areas that those companies need. And this is what has created a worker shortage based on this skills gap. There are workers out there, but they might not necessarily have the technical expertise in the areas that these companies need.
Yep.
So what do you do? Well, companies are responding to the skills gap in a lot of ways, and Nichols talks about 5 of them in her article, and we'll just kind of breeze through them real quickly here. The first, obviously, we've talked about this a lot, is apprenticeships. Apprenticeships, 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago, apprenticeships abounded. Everybody did apprenticeships. If you were going to get into a new field, you went through an apprenticeship. They slowly died out. In the last decade, they've been coming back. In part because of this. It's like, okay, if we're not going to get workers out there, we're going to have to train them ourselves. And that's where apprenticeships come in. And not just the United States, the UK as well. We've had Keith Bevan from the National
Physical Laboratory.
National Physical Laboratory, thank you.
NPL
in the UK. And he's saying, hey, UK is the same thing, just this huge spurt in the growth of apprenticeships. Nichols reports that up to 70% of work knowledge comes from on-the-job learning. So things like, things like apprenticeships. Now, for companies that may not be able to run their own programs, another option is to send people to school. In other words, if you can't run your own apprenticeship programs, then what some companies are doing are paying to go to a tech school or a Voc Tech school or a JC that offers some sort of technical training, that sort of thing. So that's another route around maybe apprenticeships. Another method for closing the skills gap is educating current employees. Now this one's interesting because the idea here is that you might have employees, let's say lower paid employees, that are interested in maybe being, a CNC operator or a welder or, getting out of the stock room and doing something that is more skilled and pays more. So what you do is you train those people up and then you backfill those lower skilled positions, which are easier to fill from the workforce.
Oh, and those positions are the ones that are more likely going away to begin with.
Right, exactly.
So, you have these people that have been with you for a couple of years maybe, and you're like, well, we don't want to get rid of them. We trust them, they're good employees, but their job maybe is going away. Train them to do something different.
Train them into something different.
Bring them up the food chain.
Particularly if they're interested. Another thing manufacturers are doing is promoting manufacturing as a desirable career. We've talked about this over and over again. Manufacturing is changing, but there's still a perception out there, although it's changing, that manufacturing is just a brute force, get your fingernails dirty, scrungy job, who wants that, right? And really it's not that anymore, or in many cases it isn't that anymore. I mean, there's a lot of technology in manufacturing, a lot of cool stuff to do in manufacturing that don't involve any more, spinning nuts onto wheels.
Well, and this is also why I think it's so interesting that we had Megan, a woman, writing this piece for us. Because, I mean, there's so many women getting into STEM and being trained in STEM careers that this idea that is a brute force job is passé, is going away. And not that women can't do brute force jobs too, but what I'm saying is there is a lot of opportunity for everybody to do this work.
Well, and it's interesting you mentioned women because she talks about that. She talks about, maybe another solution is to cast a wider net. And she points out that women are half of the population, but they only hold 29% of manufacturing jobs. So there is a huge pool out there, maybe for women who are seeking to re-enter the workforce, or maybe coming out of school and want to do something, and being sorry to be sexist here, but a secretary just does not apply, and then they want something that's going to be more maybe more creative or involve their technical interests and that sort of stuff.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, and one way she says to help that is to to generate role models within your company that can go out to talk to people. And as soon as she mentioned that, I thought of like Rena Molinari from Hexagon.
Rena Molinari,
and Michelle Edwards of Farrell. These are both
women
who have like super interesting jobs out in the field working with technical stuff. And when they talk about it, there's such a passion there. So women like that can really be role models to get younger women interested in manufacturing jobs. And finally, ironically, Nichols points out that the very technology that has, in a way, led to the skills gap is also a solution. So using technology like virtual reality and augmented reality to help train people. VR and AR speed the training process because they allow you to interact in a real or simulated environment to speed up training, much faster than book learning, or even in some cases better than working with a mentor. So there's a lot of things out there that companies can do to help generate their workforce of the future. So basically, if you break these down into two, there's either retrain, apprenticeships or retraining your own workers, or starting lower down, get kids and young people interested in manufacturing so that as they go through the education process, they might graduate high school, and rather than look at college, they might look at a Voc Tech school or a JC with a technical
community
emphasis.
College, all those things. Yep.
And those are, if you can get kids interested early on, then that's going to be your manufacturing workforce.
And again,
of the future.
those are good jobs. A lot of those are really,
a lot of
good
these are great jobs and well-paying jobs and interesting jobs.
And interesting jobs too. Yeah, no doubt about it. So
all right.
good stuff there.